Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel where we review anything and everything. And today we are just getting into a topic of discussion in regards to two particular Lego sets and kind of really revolving around the idea of the new or more recent Maul Shuttle show that had came out. So far, Lego has not decided to make any sets based around it. Now they could at some later point in time, but usually when Lego makes a set based around a particular show or whatnot, they tend to do it in advance before the show comes out, similar to the Mandalorian and Grogu movie that's dropping, that's coming out in May. And they already had the sets. The sets didn't drop yet. I think they dropped May 1st. The movie's coming out, I think May 26th or something like that. But the point is some people got the sets early, but the sets were already created way before the movie even dropped. And this has happened for some of the shows as well, specifically the Mandalorian show when it first aired in 2019, and every consecutive season after that, when they did decide to make any Lego products based on it, they will already be out. That hasn't happened with Maul Shuttle, and I'm not really too sure why. I'm actually surprised on that, and the show is actually really good, so I advise you guys to check that out. But two sets that I really wanted to kind of speak on. One in regards to that you guys could jump on just to get a Darth Maul if you want, because of the show being out, and you may just want to, if you're a fan of the show and you want to get a Darth Maul figure. There is set 75411, which is the Darth Maul Mech. It's probably the cheapest way to get him. I'm gonna have the link in the description down below on Amazon. But what's funny is that also on Amazon, if you buy the individual figure, it's a different version of figure I've seen on there. One where he's got the pupils, because the one that comes with this set doesn't have the pupils. And if that's not a big deal to you, it's not a big deal to me, then I would say go with the one from that has the Mech. But that individualized figure, because sometimes Amazon will sell individualized figures, goes for about $16, and the set goes for like 17 and some change. So I would just jump on the set. It's a Mech set. I'm not a particular fan of the mechs per se, but there are alternate builds for you to do to change it up. There's one where it turns into a speeder, and I took that same design build and I added a few things to it. And I'll put the link in the description down below for my video where I had changed a few things on it from the way that it originally was from that alternate build, along with there'll be a link for the person who had made that originally that I had watched, who did that alternate build in the first place. But that is an affordable way to get him. I don't know if the set will ever go back on sale, because I'm sure it's probably in its last age now. It was on sale a couple of months back. This is like maybe almost a year ago now, maybe. And so I don't know if it'll go on sale anymore, but its normal price range, I think it's supposed to be, what is it, $15 or $20 for a mech like that. So you're still within reason of what the base retail price is if you just want to get him. The other figure we're going to focus on is this character, Marek, if I'm saying that right. Now, what's interesting, what surprised me on the show, and spoiler ahead, just me mentioning the show, period, the spoil is already spoiled. So I'm sorry about that, you guys, if you haven't seen the show. But he makes an appearance. Now, what was interesting to me was, at first when I see him, I'm like, he looks like Marek that I seen in the Ahsoka show. I wonder if this is the same guy. Because obviously in certain shows like this, you're not going to be calling the person by their name. You're going to see an Inquisitor and be like, oh my God, it's an Inquisitor. I got to run for my life. No one's in the show is going to say, hey, are you Marek? So you don't really get confirmation. I had to Google it. But when I did, I was surprised and it was exciting, but then it also was, made me want to do some research to find out how far in the time frame is the Maul show, Shadow Lord, versus the Ahsoka show. Now, the Ahsoka show takes place obviously during the same time frame as Mandalorian, which is maybe about a good, I want to say that it's somewhere around maybe 3 to 5 years. I'm ballparking. I knew what it was before, but it's around somewhere between 3 to 5 years after episode 6. So after, Luke has, saved everybody, they did their thing, blew up the second Death Star, all that. It's somewhere in that 3 to 5 year range, somewhere in that ballpark range. Maul, Shadow Lord, takes place, excuse me, about 1 year after episode 3, where the Empire takes over. So you're just coming into that space between, it's like the very beginning phase between episode 3 and episode 4, which is a big gap. That those two episodes are the difference between Luke being just born as a baby and Luke being roughly around 18 to 20 years old when the first Star Wars movie, episode 4, starts. So this is the very beginning of that gap for the Maul show, Shadow Lord. Now, that means that, and I think the time frame of episode 3 to episode 6 is somewhere, the original trilogy, I think is somewhere around 2 years, maybe, in time frame. I'm just ballparking. It could be shorter than that. It could be a little longer than that, but I'm ballparking that it's somewhere in that range. It's not just overnight, but I do think it's supposed to represent some time passing in between. I don't think it's just one goes to the next, and then automatically it's like they were just doing this 1 week after the next week and they did all this. I do think that there's at least somewhere with almost like a 2 year span in between that. So I say that to say, let's assume that we've got, and I could say 18 years from the time of the age that Luke is inside the show, because I mean in the movie, because I think that's what he is in episode 4. We're gonna say, just for easy math, just to round it off, because I could be wrong with this. We're just gonna say 20 years, just to make it a smooth number. I could be wrong. It could be that he's 18 years old. But we're just gonna say 20 years, just to make it kind of a smooth number for our easy math. I do think he's 18, but I'm not looking at it. I haven't looked this up off the top of my head, but we're just gonna do that. Easy math, 20 years. And I really think that he's 18 though. Fine, we're gonna do the 18 thing. We're gonna do the 18 thing because I really think like he's talking about like, what is it? Like wanting to go into flight academy or something like that. I don't know. We'll do the 18 years. It's not gonna be easy math then, but it is what it is. 18 years. Let's assume, like I said, that we get 2 years out of the entire new trilogy, original trilogy. So that puts it at 20. Then we'll say that it is an additional 5 years, we'll say, for The Mandalorian. So we're looking at 25 years. 25 years. Now, when Ahsoka show comes out, it's ballparking that same time frame. I'm not going to assume that it goes many years past that because, she did kind of just see The Mandalorian, Grogu and them. We're just going to assume that within that time span, not enough time has passed to add on years, maybe a couple months. So we're looking at 25 years. So from the Maul show, Shadow Lord, excuse me, sorry about that, guys, I'm getting over pneumonia. So that puts us at minus 1 year because it's a year after that time frame. So we're looking at a total of, 20, 25 minus 1 year. So we're 24 years that you see Merrick. 24 years is the difference in time. So he's been around for a long time. So he's not a young guy because let's assume, we don't know his age, but let's assume that he's in his prime when he's in the Maul show. Let's assume he's at least like 25 years old. And I really think he's probably older than that because he's probably pretty experienced in this and that. But let's say, just to kind of shave off some years and get a little grace with him, say he's 25 years old. That means that when you see him in the Ahsoka show, he's like 50 years old, at least as a minimum. He's probably older than that because if he was 30 in Shadow Lord, then he's going to be even older. But let's assume that he's at least 25 minimum. He's 50 by the time he reaches the time around Ahsoka show. So yes, he's a very old guy. And even though that's where he, spoiler alert, again, so I'm sorry, a lot of people probably already seen the Ahsoka show by now. he ends up dying in the Ahsoka show, and he was a cool character when you see him. He had a couple of good scenes, but then he dies, and it makes it feel like he's almost like this one-off character to a degree. Obviously, you have other bad guys in the show that supersede him, so he's not going to have a lot of weight. But he really was a pretty cool character, and a lot of people were kind of excited when they saw him. And I hear people talk about how, you know, like they thought he was cool, they wanted to get the figure and whatnot. Coming back around now into Maul Shadow Lord, what you have now is they're giving more context to this character. Yes, it's 25 years in the past versus the time we seen him in the Ahsoka show, but it's giving more lore to him, which the point of this that I was going to jump into was that figure, the only figure that has ever existed, which came from Lego set 75362. This is from like Ahsoka's Jedi ship. I forget what it's called again, what the ship is called, but it's her Jedi Shuttle ship for that set. Link's gonna be in the description down below for the review that I did, and for you guys to purchase that on Amazon. It's a little pricey now. It was an expensive set to begin with. I think its natural price was $80. It had went down at different times on sale to about $60, then about $55 maybe. It may have gotten as low as $50. Right now on Amazon, it's like about $76, I think. So it's still below the retail, but that set was always expensive for its price. But the only reason why I think it's gone up to that price again is only because it's been out for a long time, and it's probably going to, it's been out since 2023. So it's probably going to be canceled at some point soon. But I feel the demand for that will go up because of this figure right here. I think that and he's a really cool figure, even though this one, he does have rust on him like he did in the Ahsoka show. So yes, he's not going to fit exactly one-to-one with the way he is inside the Shadow Lord show. But if you're like me, you really don't care about specific details and mix matching different eras as long as they somewhat look passable, like Yoda, for example. Yoda in the Clone Wars time versus Yoda in the original trilogy. I don't care that I might have one Yoda and he's to reflect both. I had got I think it's called the Ahsoka's Jedi Interceptor, and I reviewed that set before. It comes with a young Ahsoka, and it comes with Anakin representing how he was in the Clone Wars. I'm fine with that representing episode 2 and episode 3, even though he has long hair inside that. I'm fine with that representing both, because I'm not a stickler where it's like I need to say, oh, I need every single one, and I'm not that way. And if you're like that, this Marek figure, this is the only one around. And even though he does have rust on him, you could still use him to represent the one that is in the Shadow Lord show, Darth Maul Shadow Lord show. So, and for that reason, I think that this figure is going to go up in value. Now, I'm not one of those people who chase value when it comes to these figures. I don't really believe in that. But I do want to just say that the window to get this figure with the set, and I do think that, I don't know what the individual figure's price is on the aftermarket. I would safely assume he's probably at least like $20. I wouldn't be surprised. Don't quote me on that because I don't know. I never looked it up, but I would imagine he could easily be like $20. And if that's the case, I would then say the set, it's worth buying the set over that. Why? Because even though you may not want the other figures, that was one highlight of that set was the figures. I wasn't a fan of the set itself, and I explained that in my review of the set. But like the figures, you get Ahsoka, you get Sabine, you get Huyang, and then you get Marek. And so it's amazing, all the figures you get, and they all have accessories with them. All of them have weapons or some kind of thing like helmets or backpacks or some kind of thing going on. They all got so much stuff. So it's really cool. So for that, I would say definitely it's worth it if you're getting it at least at retail. If you can get it below retail, it's even better, but at least at retail, even though it was overpriced, at least you know you're not being gypped from the standpoint that the inflation is bringing it past retail. So I wanted to mention that because like I said, if you are watching this show he is a character who has just come into the mix, and I really do think that he is going to be, at least within Lego, one of the figures to get. You know what I mean? Because every other character so far that you've seen that has already been made, they if there's a figure who's already been made, excuse me, sorry about that, you guys. If there's a figure that's already been made, there's probably a ton of them already, except for the characters that hasn't been made yet for the show. There's a couple of different characters in the show that, yeah, unless they make specific sets for, you're never going to see them. And those characters obviously haven't been made. But anyone who's already been made yet, like we haven't seen Darth Vader in the show, but let's say they show Darth Vader. Everyone has a Darth Vader. You know, if they show, obviously they have Maul, and like I just mentioned, you can get him in this set if you don't have him, but some people already have a Darth Maul because he was in an Ahsoka set too, whereas Ahsoka and Darth Maul. You've got so many older sets that have certain very well-known characters, assuming that if they end up popping up in the show. But Merrick is a character who has popped up in the show, has popped up in the media before, has a figure, has not been made a figure for the show yet. And if they do, then everything I'm saying won't really matter. But if they don't, and they haven't released sets yet for the show, they may not end up releasing a figure, a Merrick figure, and this might be the only way to get him. Sorry for the rant, you guys, but just want to kind of jump into that and just kind of freely talk. As always, you guys, like, share, comment, subscribe. Link's going to be in the description down below for both of those sets. And same for my reviews on both of those sets. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.